Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So today, we're taking a look at something a little different.
A little different. I'd say it's way different.
Way different.
It's called The Liat Show, My Journey to Infinity.
Huh?
A story unfolding across timelines.
Okay, so right away, the title itself is kind of intriguing.
Right, and it's not just a podcast or a newsletter, it's both.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Liat Portal, the creator, describes it as a blend of like her own stories
Okay.
and then explorations of Israeli culture.
Interesting.
Almost like a live performance.
Okay.
Delivered in sets over several days.
So not your typical podcast format.
Definitely not. But here's what really caught my attention. She describes herself as the first of her kind.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's a bold statement.
Right. And she even mentions needing the audience's help to find the words for what she's creating.
Okay, now I'm really curious.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what kind of story she's trying to tell.
Like, how is it breaking the mold? What's so different about it?
Exactly.
Well, I did a little digging into her background.
Okay.
And I found out that she's the daughter of an architect.
Oh, interesting.
She actually calls him the greatest storyteller of all time.
So storytelling seems to be in her blood.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And it's not just her father's stories. She also draws a lot of inspiration from architecture itself.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, she describes herself as building something, but not with bricks and mortar.
So what is she building?
It seems like she's trying to construct a new way of weaving personal narrative with Israeli culture.
Okay, I'm starting to get a sense of it.
But even she admits she's struggling to define it.
Which is where the idea of being the first of her kind comes in.
Exactly.
She seems to be pushing against the limitations of traditional storytelling.
Yeah.
Blending personal anecdotes with these deep dives into...
About what?
Well, everything. Israeli history, music, food, even architecture.
Right, and you see this play out in how she actually releases her episodes.
How's that?
In sets. Each set is focused on a specific theme.
Okay, interesting.
So she's already done sets on Israeli history, music, and food.
I see.
And she's got one coming up on the architecture of early Israel.
Oh, that sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it's about housing 1 million Jewish immigrants, finding solutions for all those people coming in.
Wow.
A huge challenge.
It's almost like a serialized novel. But instead of chapters, she's using these thematic sets to build a larger narrative.
It is. And then there's her creative process, which is fascinating.
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, she writes on weekends and evenings, publishing as she goes.
So it's very raw, very in the moment.
It is. It gives you the sense of watching her creative journey unfold, like in real time.
I like that.
Yeah, and she's incredibly open to audience interaction.
Okay.
She encourages questions, feedback, even suggestions
about
about the direction of her content, like what she should focus on next.
So it's almost like a collaborative storytelling experience.
Right, and she actually calls the audience essential to the story.
That's interesting. What does that even mean?
I think that's one of the big questions here. Is she creating a space for co-creation, blurring the lines between storyteller and audience?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
And she's very open about the challenges of using platforms like Substack.
I mean, it's not really designed for something like this, right?
Why? She talks about struggling with the layout and how it impacts navigation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It highlights the tension between innovative, creative visions,
Yeah.
and then the limitations of the technology. Sometimes the platforms just aren't quite there yet to support truly groundbreaking work.
But she's not giving up, is she?
No, not at all. She even encourages her audience to give feedback to Substack directly,
Oh, wow.
hoping to influence how the platform evolves.
That's pretty cool.
It is. It's inspiring to see that level of commitment to pushing boundaries.
Yeah, she's not just creating a show. She's advocating for a change in how we think about and support unconventional storytelling.
Exactly.
And it's clear that this project is a labor of love for her. She talks about wanting to make her parents proud, and her gratitude for her audience just shines through.
It really feels like she's inviting us to be part of something special.
Yeah.
Something that's still taking shape,
Absolutely. And she's not afraid to put it out there. I mean, The Liat Show is available on Substack, of course, but also Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Patreon.
It's a smart strategy.
It is.
By diversifying, she's making her work accessible to a broader audience, regardless of their preferred platform.
Right. And I think this ties back to her unconventional approach.
How so?
Well, she seems to recognize that traditional marketing just might not work for a project like this.
Yeah, it's not your typical podcast. You can just advertise everywhere.
Exactly. It needs to be discovered organically.
Through word of mouth and genuine enthusiasm.
That's right.
It speaks to the idea that sometimes The most innovative projects need to be discovered.
Rather than advertised.
Exactly. Relying on the power of personal recommendations.
Okay, so we've painted a picture of The Leah Show and how it's different.
Mm-hmm.
But let's bring it back to our listeners.
Right.
Why should they care? What's in it for them?
I think it's an invitation to reconsider the power of storytelling.
Okay.
Leah demonstrates that stories can be more than just entertainment.
More than entertainment.
They can connect us.
Connect us.
Expose us to different cultures, even challenge our worldview.
I like that.
Yeah.
And, it also reminds us that we all have a story to tell.
We do.
And sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that defy conventions.
Mm-hmm.
Push those creative boundaries, just like the Leah Show itself.
Absolutely.
It's a testament to the importance of community.
How so?
Well, Leah explicitly asks for our help.
Right.
To bring her vision to life.
Okay.
It's like we're all being invited to be part of something larger than ourselves.
Exactly. And that's what makes the Leah Show so compelling.
Yeah.
It's not just a show, it's a movement.
A movement.
An invitation to join a community of curious minds,
Okay.
exploring the world through personal narrative and cultural discovery.
I like that. A community of curious minds.
And it's a reminder that we're witnessing the birth of something new.
Yeah.
Something with the potential to reshape how we experience stories.
That's pretty exciting.
It is.
And, Liat is very open about being on a journey of discovery.
Mm-hmm.
Experimenting with formats, approaches as she goes. It's a work in progress.
Which is part of what makes it so exciting.
Exactly. We're not just observers. We're invited to be part of the evolution of her storytelling.
That's right.
And that's why I think it's so important to support creators like Liat.
I agree.
They're the ones pushing boundaries,
Yeah.
challenging the status quo, shaping the future of art and culture.
And the best way to support them.
How?
Engage with their work, share it, help them find the audience they deserve.
And in the case of the Liat Show, it's incredibly easy to do just that.
It is.
All of the content is currently available for free.
Wow.
You can subscribe to her Substack newsletter, listen to her podcasts,
Spotify.
Apple Podcasts, or watch her videos on YouTube. So what are you waiting for? Go check out The Liat Show and see for yourself what all the buzz is about.
You might just discover your new favorite storyteller.
And you might even find yourself inspired to tell your own story in a new and unexpected way.
Absolutely.
Now, we've talked a lot about the structure and vision of The Liat Show,
Uh-huh.
but we haven't really delved into the content itself.
Right.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's dive in.
One thing that struck me was how Liat weaves seemingly disparate threads into a cohesive narrative.
Like what?
Well, she seamlessly transitions from a personal anecdote about her childhood to a deep dive into Israeli history
Okay.
or a discussion about Israeli music. It creates this fascinating tapestry.
Yeah, each thread represents a different facet of her identity and her culture.
Exactly, creating this rich, multi-layered experience that's both intellectually stimulating and emotionally resonant.
And it's all delivered with this incredible energy and passion.
Oh yeah, Liat clearly loves what she does.
And that enthusiasm is contagious.
It's like she's inviting you to fall in love with Israeli culture right alongside her.
I can see that.
Let's give you a taste of what we mean.
Okay.
One of the recent sets Liat published was on Israeli music,
Okay.
specifically focusing on two iconic musicians, Barry Sakharov and Rami Fortis.
Now, I have to admit, I wasn't familiar with these artists before listening to The Liat Show.
I wasn't either.
But Liat does a fantastic job of placing their music within the larger context of Israeli culture.
She talks about their influences, their impact, what makes their music so unique.
She even shares personal anecdotes about her own experiences with their music.
Yeah, for example, she describes discovering Sakharov's music as a teenager
Oh, wow.
and how it made her feel seen and understood for the first time.
Powerful.
It adds this deeply personal layer to the exploration of music.
Exactly. And she talks about how Fortis's music helped her connect with her Israeli identity in a new way.
It's really interesting.
These personal touches really elevate the storytelling.
And make it so much more than just a dry history lesson. And it's not just music. Liat has also done sets on Israeli food,
Oh, like what?
exploring everything from traditional dishes like schnitzel to the latest trends in Israeli cuisine.
Wow, so she covers the whole spectrum,
She does. And again, she manages to weave in personal stories and cultural insights.
making it both informative and entertaining.
Right. For example, she talks about her grandmother's legendary schnitzel recipe
Okay.
and how it embodies the blending of different cultures in Israeli cuisine.
That's cool.
And she talks about how the rise of veganism in Israel reflects a growing awareness of environmental and ethical issues.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
It's clear that she's passionate about sharing her culture with the world, and she's doing it in a way that's both accessible and engaging.
Now, speaking of being engaging,
Yeah.
one of the things that really stands out about Liat's work is her willingness to be vulnerable, sharing her own struggles and insecurities.
Yeah, it's refreshing to see someone who's not afraid to be real, even in such a public forum.
Right. It makes her incredibly relatable.
Exactly. It's like she's saying, hey, I'm just a regular person trying to figure things out,
Yeah.
and maybe we could figure them out together.
Which is a powerful message.
It is.
Especially in a world where we're constantly bombarded with images of perfection and success.
Right. It's a reminder that it's okay to be imperfect, to be messy, and to be on a journey of self-discovery.
Absolutely.
Now, one thing Liat is really wrestling with is how to describe what she does.
I mean, it's not easy.
No, it's not. She even asks her audience for help with this.
Really?
Yeah, acknowledging that the Liat show doesn't fit neatly into any existing category.
It's almost like she's created something so new and unique that it defies traditional categorization.
Yeah, she's right.
She is.
It's hard to put the Liat show into a neat little box.
It's not just a podcast, it's not just a newsletter, and it's not just a performance piece.
It's all of those things and more.
I think that's what makes it so special.
It is. It's a hybrid form of storytelling that's still evolving and taking shape. It's a work in progress, and we're all invited to be part of the process.
And that's what I love about it. It's
Yeah.
unpredictable, unconventional, and full of potential.
Liat has mentioned that she's currently working on a set of episodes focusing on architecture
Oh, cool.
in the early days of Israel.
Okay.
This ties back to her father's profession and promises to be a fascinating exploration of how the built environment shapes our lives and identities.
She specifically mentions the challenge of finding housing solutions for about 1 million Jewish immigrant refugees.
Right, who arrived in Israel in the early years of the state.
Wow, that's a huge undertaking.
It is. It's a timely and relevant story given the ongoing refugee crisis around the world,
Absolutely.
and one that is sure to be full of insights into the human spirit's resilience and creativity in the face of adversity.
It's a testament to her ability to connect seemingly disparate threads
Yeah.
and create something truly unique and compelling.
Before we move on, I want to emphasize Liat's commitment to making her parents proud. It's a sentiment that resonates with many of us, that desire to honor our family and heritage.
For sure.
It's clear that Liat is doing just that in a way that's both personal and universal.
She's sharing her story, her culture, and her heart with the world.
Yeah.
And she's doing it with a lot of humor, a lot of heart, and a lot of chutzpah.
You know, that's exactly what we need more of in the world today.
I agree.
We've covered a lot of ground, so we've only just scratched the surface of what the Liat Show has to offer.
I know, there's so much more to explore.
So we encourage you to go explore it for yourself.
Definitely.
Subscribe to our Substack newsletter, listen to our podcast, watch our videos, and join the conversation.
You won't be disappointed.
Now for a little bonus content.
Bonus content.
Yeah, we wanted to share something that Liat mentioned about her name.
Okay.
Apparently, a lot of people mispronounce it.
Really? How so?
Well, it's not Liat like it might seem.
Oh.
The correct pronunciation is Leet with a long A sound, like in spa or pasta.
Got it.
And she even mentioned her father, whose name is Nissim, which is pronounced Nissim, with the emphasis on the first syllable.
Okay, good to know.
So there you have it, a little pronunciation guide from Leet herself.
Nice.
Now for a final thought to leave you with.
Okay, hit me.
How can we, as an audience, better support innovative storytellers like Leet, who are pushing creative boundaries and forging new paths?
That's a great question.
It's one worth pondering.
It is. It's a question that challenges us to think beyond just Liat and her show.
Yeah.
It's about cultivating a culture
Okay.
that embraces creativity, experimentation, and taking risks.
Especially when it comes to storytelling.
Right.
You know, Liat is incredibly transparent about her creative process,
She is.
and she invites her audience to participate in shaping the direction of her content.
She does.
It really exemplifies this idea of collaborative storytelling.
Collaborative storytelling, yeah.
So she asks questions, solicits feedback,
Mm-hmm.
even encourages people to share their own creative responses to her work.
Oh,
It's not a one-way street. It's a true collaboration.
I see.
And that's something we can all learn from.
Learn from.
Yeah, as an audience, we have a responsibility to be more than passive listeners.
Okay.
We can actively engage with the work,
Engage.
share our ideas, and support the creators we believe in.
It's about creating a dialogue, a two-way exchange
Exactly.
that enriches the experience for everyone involved.
And sometimes that support can be as simple as sharing a link.
Sharing a link.
Yeah, or leaving a comment, or even telling a friend about a project you love.
Right.
Word of mouth is so powerful.
Word of mouth, especially in today's digital world.
Where we're constantly bombarded with information.
It's true.
It's a way to show creators that their work matters,
Okay.
that it's resonating with people, and that it's worth continuing to create.
I like that.
Liat mentions in her About section that she's striving to create something the world hasn't seen before.
I mean, that's a pretty ambitious goal.
It is.
But I think she's succeeding.
You do.
The way she blends personal narrative, cultural exploration, and audience interaction, it's truly unique.
What do you think makes it so unique?
It's not just about telling a story, it's about crafting an experience.
Okay, I see what you mean.
And that experience becomes unique for each listener.
I hope so.
Well, it's shaped by their own background, their own interests, how deeply they choose to engage.
It's almost like a choose-your-own-adventure story,
Kind of.
where each listener can forge their own path through the narrative.
Right. It invites active participation.
And that's what makes the Liat show so compelling.
Compelling.
It's not passive entertainment. It's an invitation to be part of the creative process.
Interesting.
It's a reminder that stories are living, breathing things that evolve and change over time.
You know, I've never thought about it that way.
And the most engaging stories are often the ones we create together.
I like that.
Now, I know some people might be hesitant to jump into a project that's so unconventional.
Unconventional.
Well, they might be more comfortable with traditional storytelling.
With a clear beginning, middle, and end.
Exactly. I can see that.
But I would encourage them to give the Liat Show a chance.
Give it a chance.
They might be surprised at how much they enjoy the journey.
It's like exploring a new city.
Oh, I like that analogy.
You might not know exactly where you're going,
Uh-huh.
but you're open to the unexpected encounters and discoveries.
That made the experience so rich.
Exactly.
And who knows, you might just stumble upon your new favorite hidden gem.
I love that.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I wanted to circle back to something we touched on earlier.
Okay, what's that?
Liat mentions facing challenges with the Substack platform.
Right, Substack.
Specifically, she finds the layout limiting.
Limiting.
Yeah, and wishes there were more intuitive ways to navigate the content.
It's a valid point.
It is.
Substack is primarily designed for newsletters and blog posts.
Right.
Not necessarily for this kind of multi-layered, interactive experience that Liat is creating. And she's actively encouraging her readers to provide feedback to Substack.
The Substack directly.
Yeah, in hopes that they might make changes to better accommodate projects like hers.
It's a reminder that technology is constantly evolving.
It is.
And sometimes it takes creative minds to push the boundaries.
Inspire innovation.
Exactly.
It's a call to action for users to advocate for features and functionalities
Okay.
that support the creators we want to see succeed.
I like that.
Even though Liat is facing challenges with the platform, she's not letting that stop her.
She's not.
No, she's still creating amazing content and sharing it with the world.
Good for her.
It speaks to her passion, her dedication, and her unwavering belief in her vision.
It's a reminder that even when things get tough, we can persevere, adapt, and make our voices heard.
Absolutely.
And ultimately, that's what the Liat Show is all about.
What?
Finding your voice, sharing your story, and connecting with others in a meaningful way.
It's definitely a project worth exploring.
Now, we've talked a lot about why the Liat Show is so unique
Mm-hmm.
and why it's worth your time.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I wanted to touch on something that resonated with me.
What's that?
Liat's call to action.
For call to action.
It's not simply about asking people to subscribe or donate.
Right.
It's about something much deeper.
Okay, tell me more.
She talks about unlocking her potential to write the next great chapter
Oh, wow.
in the most extraordinary story ever told.
That's a big statement.
It is, and she sees her audience as an essential part of that journey.
Right. She even goes so far as to say that it will be more beautiful than we could ever imagine.
It's a bold statement,
It is.
but I think it speaks to the power of collaborative storytelling. When we come together, share ideas, perspectives, we can create something truly extraordinary.
I agree.
And that's exactly what Layat is inviting us to do.
Inviting us to do what?
To be co-creators in this grand narrative she's weaving. This project isn't just about one person's story.
Right.
It's about all of our stories.
About the collective human experience.
Exactly.
It's about finding those moments of connection.
Those shared experiences that transcend our individual differences.
I love that.
Layat is very transparent about needing our help to make this project succeed.
Right.
She needs subscribers, she needs listeners, and she needs people who are willing to engage with her work and share it with others.
And that's where we come in.
That's where we come in.
We have the power to amplify her voice.
Amplify her voice.
Help her reach a wider audience.
Right.
And ensure her story is heard.
It's not just about financial support.
Although that's important.
It is.
But it's about being part of a community, spreading the word, and helping to create something truly special.
It's definitely a project worth investing in.
Now, I know some people might be wondering
What?
why we're dedicating an entire episode to a project that's still relatively unknown.
It's a fair question.
It is.
But we believe it's crucial to highlight the work of creators who are pushing boundaries.
Pushing boundaries, how?
Experimenting with new forms of storytelling.
Okay.
Challenging the status quo.
So they're the innovators, the visionaries.
The ones shaping the future of art and culture.
And we believe that Layat is one of those creators.
We do.
She's not afraid to take risks, to be vulnerable, and to ask for help.
She's creating something truly special.
What is it that's so special about her project?
Something that connects with people on a deep and meaningful level.
Yeah.
We're excited to be sharing her story with you today.
I am too.
We hope you'll be inspired to check out The Layat Show for yourself.
Definitely.
You might just discover your new favorite storyteller.
And you might even find yourself inspired to tell your own story in a new and unexpected way.
Absolutely.
Now, we've talked a lot about the big picture.
The big picture.
The themes, the vision behind The Layat Show. But let's highlight some of the specific content Layat has already created.
Okay, let's get into the details.
One thing that stood out to me was her set of episodes on Israeli history.
Israeli history.
She covers a wide range of topics.
Like what?
From geopolitical changes in the 19th century to the pioneers of the first immigration waves to the land of Israel.
Wow, that's a lot of ground to cover.
It is, and she does it in a way that's both informative and engaging.
Informative and engaging.
She brings history to life by weaving historical facts,
with
personal anecdotes and family stories.
Well, that's a nice touch.
Creating a rich and multi-layered narrative.
Right.
For example, she talks about her own family's history in Israel.
Okay.
Tracing their roots back to the early Zionist settlers who arrived in the late 19th century.
Wow, that's going way back.
And she connects those personal stories to the larger historical context.
The larger historical context.
Yeah, explaining how the Zionist movement emerged, the challenges they faced, the impact they had on the development of the State of Israel.
So it's personal and historical.
Exactly.
Interesting.
She even delves into the complex issue of land ownership.
Land ownership.
Exploring different perspectives and the ongoing conflicts that have shaped the region.
It's a sensitive topic.
It is, but she handles it with nuance and sensitivity, presenting different viewpoints without taking sides.
I see.
And she always brings it back to the human element.
The human element.
Reminding us that history is ultimately about people, their stories, and their struggles.
Right. It's not just about dates and events. It's about the people who lived through them.
Another set of episodes I found fascinating was her exploration of Israeli music.
Israeli music, okay.
She focuses on Barry Sakharov and Rami Fortis.
Okay.
Two iconic musicians who have had a profound impact on the Israeli music scene.
I'm familiar with their work.
She does a fantastic job of introducing their music to listeners who might not be familiar with it.
Okay.
Discussing their influences, their style, and what makes their music so unique.
She even provides links to some of their most famous songs so listeners can experience it for themselves.
She does. It's great.
That's helpful.
She also shares personal anecdotes about her own experiences with their music.
Like what?
For example, she talks about discovering Sakharov's music as a teenager.
Okay.
And how it made her feel seen and understood for the first time.
Wow, that's powerful.
These personal touches bring the storytelling to life.
They do.
What makes The Layat Show so unique?
What?
Is Layat's willingness to experiment with different formats and approaches.
Different formats.
Yeah, she's not afraid to push the boundaries of what a podcast or a newsletter can be.
So how does she do that?
Well, for example, she incorporates elements of live performance into her work.
Live performance.
Releasing episodes as they unfold, almost like a serialized radio drama.
Interesting.
It creates a sense of immediacy and intimacy.
Immediacy and intimacy.
We're right there in the studio with her, watching her creative process unfold.
And she's always encouraging audience participation.
Yes.
Asking questions, soliciting feedback, even incorporating listener responses into her work.
Right. It's a truly collaborative effort.
And a key part of what makes The Liat Show so special.
Liat is very transparent about wanting to reach a wider audience.
Reach a wider audience.
And she's actively promoting her work on social media.
Okay.
Encouraging people to subscribe, listen, and share.
So she's doing all the right things.
She is.
She's been very successful in building a loyal following of listeners who appreciate her unique style and her passion for sharing her culture.
It's true.
It's inspiring to see someone so passionate about their work, willing to put themselves out there.
And share their story with the world.
It's a reminder that we all have a story to tell.
We do.
And sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that come from the most unexpected places.
Now, we've talked about the content of The Liat Show, but it's important to talk about the impact it's having.
The impact, okay.
One thing I've been struck by.
Struck by what?
Is how Liat's work resonates with people all over the world.
People all over the world.
She's receiving messages from listeners in countries as diverse as the United States, Canada, Australia, even Japan.
That's amazing.
People are connecting with her stories, her humor, and her passion for sharing her culture.
She's building a community of listeners.
A community of listeners.
Who are eager to learn more about Israel.
About Israel.
Its history, its culture, and its people.
It's really incredible.
In a world that can often feel divided and polarized.
Yeah.
Liat is creating a space for dialogue, understanding, and connection.
She's showing us that even though we come from different backgrounds, we all share common human experiences.
Common human experience.
Stories have the power to bridge divides and bring us together.
Absolutely.
Now, I know some people might hesitate to listen to a show that focuses on Israeli culture.
Hesitate why?
They might have preconceived notions.
Okay.
Or worry about getting caught up in political debates.
Yeah, I can understand that.
But I would encourage those people to give The Liat Show a chance.
Give it a chance.
Liat isn't interested in preaching or pushing any agenda.
No.
She's simply sharing her experiences, her perspectives, and her love for her country.
Her love for her country.
And she's doing it in a way that's both entertaining and enlightening.
Entertaining and enlightening.
She doesn't shy away from difficult topics.
Difficult topics.
But she always approaches them with respect and a genuine desire to foster understanding.
I see.
That's what makes her work so valuable.
Valuable.
She creates a space where people can come together, learn from each other, and challenge their assumptions.
We definitely need more of that in the world today.
I agree.
Now, we've talked a lot about the positive impact The Liat Show is having.
Yes.
But it's important to acknowledge that Liat has faced some challenges along the way.
Challenges? Like what?
Well, she's been open about the fact that it's been difficult to build an audience for a project that's so unconventional.
Right.
She's had to overcome technical challenges with Substack. Learn how to promote her work on social media. Right.
And deal with the occasional negative comment.
It's not always easy putting yourself out there.
It's not, but she's persevered.
She has.
Her dedication, resilience, and unwavering belief in her vision are truly inspirational.
Inspirational.
For anyone who's ever dreamed of creating something special and sharing it with the world.
I think that's a great message for our listeners.
I do too.
We're coming to the end of our deep dive into The Liat Show.
Okay.
But before we wrap up,
yes,
I want to leave you with a few key takeaways.
A few key takeaways.
First and foremost, it's important to remember that The Liat Show is a work in progress.
A work in progress.
It's constantly evolving, and Liat is always experimenting with new formats and approaches.
So if you check it out today and don't quite connect with it, don't give up.
Don't give up.
Come back in a few weeks or a few months and see what she's up to.
Right.
You might be surprised at how much it's changed.
I bet.
Second, The Liat Show is a collaborative effort.
Collaborative effort. Liat is actively encouraging her audience to participate in shaping the direction of her content.
So what should our listeners do?
Don't be afraid to ask questions, to share your thoughts.
Right.
And to offer your own creative contributions.
I like that.
You might just inspire her to create something truly amazing.
That's a good point.
Finally, remember that The Layette Show is more than just a podcast or a newsletter.
More than just a podcast or a newsletter.
It's a community.
A community.
A movement.
Okay.
And a testament to the power of storytelling.
Storytelling.
To connect us, to inspire us, and to change the world.
Now, I know we've shared a lot of information with you about this complex project.
We have.
But hopefully you have a better sense of what The Layette Show is all about and why it's worth your time.
Absolutely.
The best way to understand it
is to experience it for yourself.
Exactly.
Go subscribe to her Substack newsletter.
Okay.
Listen to her podcast.
Yes.
Watch her videos. And join the conversation.
Great advice.
You might just discover your new favorite storyteller.
And you might even find yourself inspired to tell your own story.
To say your own story.
In a new and unexpected way.
Absolutely.
And speaking of telling your own story, that brings us right back to the question we posed at the beginning of this deep dive.
Oh, right.
How can we as an audience better support innovative storytellers like Layette, who are pushing boundaries and forging these new paths?
It really challenges us to rethink the traditional models of support and how we engage with creative work.
Right. It's not just about subscribing or donating.
It's not.
It's about actively participating in a community that values and encourages creativity.
Yeah.
One thing Layette emphasizes is the power of simply sharing her work with others.
Oh, that's so important.
Something we can all do regardless of our financial means.
Exactly.
Tell your friends, post about it online. Spread the word.
Word of mouth is incredibly powerful, especially for projects like this that are outside the mainstream and don't have huge marketing budgets.
It's about recognizing that we have a role to play in shaping the cultural landscape.
I agree.
We're not just passive consumers.
Right.
We're active participants.
Active participants.
Our choices,
yeah,
our recommendations, our conversations, they all contribute.
I do.
And sometimes the most meaningful support we can offer is to listen.
To listen.
To engage with the work on a deeper level. And let the creator know it's resonating with us.
Absolutely.
Leave a comment, send a message, share your thoughts.
Those small gestures can mean the world.
They can.
To someone who's pouring their heart and soul into their craft.
For those who are able, financial support through platforms like Patreon can be incredibly impactful.
Yeah, allows creators to dedicate more time and resources to their projects.
Ultimately, it's about recognizing the value of creativity and innovation and being willing to invest in the people who are pushing those boundaries.
Right. It's about fostering a culture where artists and storytellers feel supported, encouraged and empowered to take risks and create something truly extraordinary.
And that's exactly what Layette is doing with The Layette Show.
She is.
She's taking risks, pushing boundaries, and creating something truly unique and compelling.
And she's inviting us all to be a part of it.
So if you're looking for something different, something that will challenge your assumptions and expand your horizons, I encourage you to check out The Layette Show, My Journey to Infinity, a story unfolding across timelines.
You can find it on Substack,
Spotify,
Apple Podcasts,
YouTube,
and Patreon.
Go explore, go discover, and go be a part of something truly special.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep those amazing stories coming.